Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat postgame show. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we got reality check master Tiffany Meeks. What's up, Tiff?
What's up?
Wish we were on happier terms tonight, but you know we're here regardless. We also got Franky G. Franky's muted. He refuses to unmute, probably to protest Miami's fumbled second half lead. Yet again, supposed to also be joining us tonight was Brass Jazz. Brass said, I will come on if the Heat beat the Knicks. Remember, Brass is retired, but he said he would pop in to give us a good vibe, and the Heat lost, and so he's not here. So Dad continues to not come home with milk. Also joining us is Kyle Scarlett. Same, brother. Same. Lot to get into today. Shout out to Just Jared, who's resubscribed with Prime, 26 months. Says, boo this team. We love you. Thank you for the support. Thank you to all our chatters on Twitch and YouTube. I see, YouTube's already sad that we missed out on Brass. This is all Terry Rozier's fault, and never forget that. But seriously, Tiff, let's talk about what happened tonight because, they have blown another fourth quarter lead, another second half double digit. They were up by 19 in the game. And I think this one's on Spo more than anything. I think the Knicks, Thibs did a great job by putting Anunoby on Herro, especially in that second half. And they moved Karl-Anthony Towns to your boy Highsmith. And I think Spo needed to use Haywood Highsmith in pick and roll more as a screener. I think they needed to do more things to get Anunoby off of Herro. And really, those two defensive changes dictated the rest of the game for Miami. And what you get is just two bad offensive quarters and a bad overtime offensively.
I mean, I agree with that, but I also just think pass the ball. You don't have to score. You don't have to shoot. Pass the ball. If you see you don't have the advantage, swing the ball. We literally just stopped doing that. I get it. It's a hell of a defender on him. He's going to pass the ball and then relocate on the floor. Like sometimes you don't need to try to do all the things and reinvent the wheel. Because I feel like that's what was happening. We were trying to reinvent the wheel when we could have just passed the ball, relocated, and came back. Just a little movement. But they weren't doing that. And while, a lot of things I think were on Spo, but at the end of the day, this is the team you got. So sometimes you got to make fetch happen on your own. And we look at Spo, we can't look at the roster, we can't look at Jimmy. Like, they just didn't make fetch happen. They stopped passing the ball. We stopped looking for Bam, who was cooking everybody that guarded him. We stopped crashing boards. I mean, it's just the little things. They just stopped. I get it. The mismatches weren't really there once they changed up the defense, speaking of the Knicks. But, come on. How are we really going to just, let everybody off the hook?
No, and Tiff, to your point, about crashing the boards, I mean, after Mitchell Robinson fell on Khalil, I mean, he did not play a lot in the second half. He played a little bit on overtime. Did not look super mobile to me. Franky, if you can monitor what the press conference is happening, if Spo's going to speak on Khalil's health, because that was another thing. I think that they lost that element of their game. I mean, Khalil was absolutely killing them in the role. It kind of made it so that Cat couldn't hide, and that kind of, Tiff, talk about the matchups, it became hard because, when Karl-Anthony Towns is in the corner, now there's a lot of pressure on the ball up top. There's a lot of size between OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. I think Deuce McBride is really, really good. I'm a big, I know we're all Nick haters here, but I think he's a really good player. And I think Tyler, we know, struggles with size. And we kind of saw that, the Knicks are like, okay, we're going all in on size on the ball handlers. and Bam will do what Bam does, but let's make sure that we cut the head of the snake. And I think that was really effective. It worked. I agree with you. Got to move the ball more, Kyle. I mean, I think Tiff is spot on. I think the ball movement was bad, but I think the Knicks contributed. I think the Knicks knew what they were doing, and they're like, okay, if we limit their playmaking, if we limit their guards, particularly Duncan and Herro, because Duncan was really affected by a lot of the same things that Herro was. I mean, they just got Brunson. I mean, Duncan was absolutely going to town on Brunson too, just off the dribble and everything. So I think when they did those changes, when Tibbs made those changes, it kind of led to what Tiff is saying. There's lack of ball movement, lots of other stuff. And it just kind of looked like every window was shot for Miami.
I think that's one part of it. Also, to your earlier point, funny enough, I think Ware was respectable on defense outside of just at the rim.
No, I agree.
He was able to give them some kind of giving a small sample size of what he can do when he uses his size properly, just showing and kind of giving the turn at the rim. I'm actually in the worst mood because Mitchell Robinson decided to flop his 7-foot ass all over and fall on someone's leg. Like the whole team was flopping. So that really upset me because when you're reckless things happen. And that's not why we lost the game, but that contributed to not having that element at the rim, because some of what happens when Ware's on the floor is if they can't get a shot so much from the three, or maybe not in a regular half court setting, they can get something, a lob at the rim or some kind of action at the rim. And with Bam being the only person out there, they kind of went back to they basically went back to what we're used to seeing Bam have to do, which is cover more than one spot. I think,
but I'm talking about offensively right now. I'm talking about we're talking about on offense, like what are they getting? And their guards were just absolutely totally shut out of the game.
It's bad. Because that's
but New York's not a good defense, and you kind of saw that in the first half where Miami is torching a bad defense. And what happens is that you kind of see Cat and drop, you see Mitchell Robinson and drop, you see these guys and drop, and they don't have a lot of depth in the big positions. Why last year they were such a good offensive rebounding team, they lose Hartenstein and they kind of lose a lot of size, and all of a sudden they have way less offensive rebounding firepower, all that stuff. So if you're Miami, you're like they're not a small team, but they're not a big team anymore. No. And you're like, okay, if we attack that man and drop, their guards aren't good. Like defensively, Jalen Brunson's a great player. Jalen Brunson's not winning you any defensive awards. And I know he competes, but you saw it. Davion was getting by him off the dribble. Tyler, Duncan Robinson, all those guys. So I get what you're saying, but I'm talking on the offense right now, because we'll talk about the defense later. But right now, the offense, that was, we're talking about what the Knicks did and how is Miami, they were supposed to find answers to that. And I mean, Frankie, I thought it was even a little bit pathetic that Spoelstra went from Duncan to fucking Alec Burke and Khalil Ware, and then back to Duncan later. And I was like, can you you look like you're just trying to find solutions,
right?
And it's do you not have a plan? I don't know. That to me was what?
Right.
Well, the Ware benching was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, because I think you're gonna go there.
Well, the Ware benching it came right after they attacked him 3 straight possessions on
and
defense.
He looked hurt to me.
Yeah, he was a step Sosa, and he had his knee wrapped because of that fall that Robinson had on him. But yeah, man, they were. I felt like they bailed them out so much. The refs let them get away with a lot of contact and physicality on the perimeter. So Josh Hart and credit to the Knicks for fighting off ball and staying attached on these screens, but Duncan and Tyler were premeditating so much.
Yes,
Tyler was premeditating so many shot selection. He had a 5-on-2 fast break and took a contested 3, and he took another.
He took another one.
He took another
Frankie,
one.
You don't think that is a result of he feels because of these adjustments on him that he cannot get going. So, and he finds even a little bit of space, he tries to maybe I agree with you. It's ill-advised, but you don't think he's okay, I found a seam, I got to take it, even if it's ill-advised?
No, because there wasn't a seam. He was like, I'm going to take this shot because I haven't had a shot go in. That's what it looks like on the court.
Exactly.
You can tell when you've played, you've coached, you can tell when a guy's just, I haven't got a shot in a while. He takes 24 shots on a night he couldn't hit fucking shit. Like his shots are gonna always fucking come, good or bad. His shots are always there for him. It's the decision making that was a problem. Duncan too. Duncan had a fucking one-legged off-balance 3 that he took with 7 seconds on the clock in the fourth, and we're like, and what are we doing? But like they just continuously go like this is a Spo staple where they play slower in the fourth quarter, and they and pace wise and possession wise. I looked this up a couple weeks ago. In the first quarter, they are the 20th fastest team in the league, and in the fourth quarter, they're the 29th. And I think that really slows them down too much because they're always been a team that they need counters. They need extra actions, extra shots at it. So you make mistakes, we take advantage of it. They don't run a pace fast enough, and you could see it with the 8-second violation there, and Spo constantly yelling at them. Like this isn't all on Spo in that regards. The players have to take charge on that specs of it, but they have to. But like it's a continuous problem with Spo coach teams, and they need to do better on that and that aspect. Just bailing them out because the Knicks only have to lock in 2 actions: the primary action, the pick and roll, they switch it, and then the next pass, because that's all the time that's left. And most they were attacking early and often in the first half. That's why they got to the fucking rim, because the Knicks were never fucking set.
Quick shout out to Roy Blanc in chat. Appreciate the super chat. Says nice seeing Tiff. It's been a while. Nice seeing you all in general as well. Heat Nation with a Haitian flag. So support. Love you guys. Thank you for all the support. Tiff, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but to kind of backtrack on what G was saying, let's say that is the case where he feels like I can't get to this spot. I can't get to the basket. I just got to get these pull-up threes. Then if he does, then that's another problem that we're piling on to the bucket of problems we already have, because it literally just looks messy when you're running down the court and it's 1-on-3 and you're pulling for these threes. Like this is just not, it's not offense. Like they have, they don't have the wherewithal in the fourth quarter to continue doing what got them the leads in the first place. And then someone's, the defense changes, because good coaches will adapt. And that's what Thibs did, adapted. The thing is that we can say Spo didn't adapt well. Maybe he didn't. And also, like, we can at this point and say, we also may not have the horses to adapt in certain ways that we need to.
Well, and I agree with you on part of that, but for me, it's the decision making.
But that's part of adapting,
right? The three in transition is one thing, and and I got to see it the more of the mechanics of it tonight than usual. When you take that shot without rhythm, because what's happening is he's shooting the ball in as he's coming to a stop and raising up, and that's different than when if you watch the next.
Wait, freeze it. Do that again. Show that again. Now slow it. Keep slowing it. Look at what you got cutting to the basket with everybody's eyes on the ball. That's a pass.
I don't hate that shot, guys.
No, but here's why I hate the one he took later.
5 guys on there. 5
look
guys.
I actually don't hate that shot.
But the reason I hate the shot from earlier, the reason I hate the shot that happens later on, is he's not one. If you look at it, his feet are not set properly. He's off balance. So when you get the one in the center, which, by the way, taking a 3 right down the middle is not an easy shot. So taking that while you're running to stop, to raise, the ball is flying. Like, I don't, if you understand, like, kinetics and momentum,
shooter.
The ball is flying.
What are we
so
doing?
Instead of it being in rhythm and him getting a shot that's
Kyle,
more
he's good at that shot. Like,
but you've missed him the last 5 games doing the same play.
But
always,
it's about how you shoot. You could just
I don't like the one in overtime. I don't mind that one. And the
it was
reason
a
why
5-on-2, G.
no, but they got
Only because they got the ball back.
No,
if it
but
bounces
Frankie,
back, if
part
it
of the
bounces
reason-
long
but-
and goes to and they get a layup on the other end,
I
is that a
don't
good
hate
shot?
it. I don't hate it, Frankie. I think that you have an open 3 in transition. You have guys that
It
are going to be
wasn't
under
open.
yeah, it was, bro. And I was,
Bro, look at the shot.
where's the guy at like?
He's right in his fucking grill.
No, dude, he's already elevated. I disagree. I like this. I think that's fine. I think that's nitpicking. and I
That's
think
2 passes and that's a layup.
He
That's
hits that shot a lot. I think it's fine. They're also like up by a lot. I'd probably like feel differently with a different leverage in the game or whatever. But I also think it's like, you have a guard under the rim and you have a lot of size that's coming on that side where I don't know. I don't hate that. And I don't think it's like, I don't know. I don't really think it's important to litigate that. I do think that his shot selection is pretty poor sometimes. I think that's not the example. And I think, for example, one of those in the overtime, he like barely gets around Anunoby and like tries to get contact and takes a clearly bad, gonna be short 3. That's the stuff I have more of a problem with. Not something like that that's in rhythm where you have kind of guys that could offensive rebound or whatever. That's more of the stuff that I have a problem with. That I've left a problem with, as opposed to like something like that, or like that shot at the end of overtime I didn't like either. I mean, I think that like doing a small pick and roll, I understand like why teams do that, and every team in the league does that. That's not just a Spo thing. Like most teams are going to go there, but that's what I don't like. I'm like, okay, like you're struggling from the mid range, you're gonna like get a small on you instead of like trying to find a big and drop where you can get like a little space or whatever, or you can find a pocket pass. That's more what I have issue with. Not a transition 3 that we know he can hit. But that's like who he is. That's like that's who he is. I think he had a bad game.
We're gonna agree.
We
No, but
disagree.
I
we
feel
disagree.
you,
We disagree. Yeah.
you were disagree, but you're also not listening to what we're saying.
No, I get
Because
what you're
it's-
saying.
I'm not saying I hate the shot. I hate the shot because you had an open run to the rim.
But
That's
get
why
that.
I hate the shot.
No, I get that.
Like that's an easy 2. Because you need it's not about having the lead. You have to keep building upon the lead, because we know lose the lead in the fourth quarters. So you have to keep building upon it. So you got to get the easy points where you can get them. That's my problem with the shot.
So Tiff, without counter is a lot of those other guys have had it going that game. He hadn't had it going, and I think like you got to get going. And if you're Herro, I think that's a good shot, and you're just like I got to try to get going for my team. I know those other guys have gotten shots, and he got a lot of those guys shots. Like in pick and roll, he had fed Ware a few times on lobs. Like he was, and again, I don't want to make
that's
this
the
like
point, G, though, that he gets his shots. He's gonna get his shots,
No, I
whether
know,
he
yeah,
has
yeah.
it going or not. Get your guys going and get
But
it
he
easy.
did. He did get his guys going,
But he didn't, because he took a lot of bad shots and he could have kept passing the ball.
I think he took a lot of bad shots in the second half, and I think we talked about why I felt that happened. I mean, Frankie had 7 assists tonight.
Yeah, he's had 6 in the first half.
7 and 0 turnovers.
He had 6 in the first half.
Yeah, and that transition.
One assist in the second half.
Yeah, dude, and that's exactly. And I think that them putting Anunoby on him and then them fudging the matchups made it very difficult for him. And I think that's on Spo. I think like clearly we've known forever that Tyler cannot beat size like that. And Anunoby, we've seen that exact thing happen on a different team. Anunoby is on Bam, switches to Duncan, switches to Tyler, shuts the water off. And they don't have recourse. And it's like, there's no slip. There's no nothing. Like the help was there for New York. So I get what you're saying. And I agree with you in principle. But I think that like that, he was clearly a very willing and good playmaker. And especially in that first half, when that shot happened, like he's playmaking for other guys. And he's like, I don't have it going. I've made plays for other guys. I think I can make this shot. This is not a bad shot. Let me take it, get it going.
But I also think that that's part of intangibles, right? If you don't have it going, then continue to get your guys going. Because to me, if you're the guard with the ball the most and you don't have the shot going, I'd have liked to see him. I would have loved if that 7 was 15 assists instead.
I think that
Those
like you
extra
guys
couple-
want him to play a utopic basketball that does not exist.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
When you're reading the floor and your shooting isn't exactly the way it was a couple nights ago, finding your guys and upping that and it's not just a stat pad, but finding your guys and getting that assist up means you're getting more baskets for guys, especially because Tyler creates so much gravity and he's bringing multiple defenders his direction. There has to be somebody open because McBride made sure to be there when Tyler took the 3. And if I think Davion was right there. So there's a pass there, and
Again, like we're
and then-
micro analyzing.
and I'm just saying, there are plays where I feel like he could have
within
made
the flow of the game in transition. Like I don't know. I just feel like that.
but
I feel like
they're not a
this-
good transition team anyway. So
I
if
just
you
felt like-
know that you're not shooting well, and you have 3 guys, trust your teammates to make the play. That's all I'm saying. Like that's really kind of my
He
point.
did all game, bro. He had fucking 7 assists. Like, you know, he was playmaking, and you know, whatever. I thought he had a good first half. Like, I know he didn't hit shots, but I thought like he did everything else like really good and competitive. And again, that second half, and I put that on Spo, right? I put that on Spo, and of course Terry Rozier.
And Bam shot great, by the way. Just to throw that in there. He missed
No,
2 shots.
he was fantastic, and I thought Herro did a lot for him in the first half as well. Like he had a bad game. Like I'm not saying otherwise, and I know that like you guys super disagree with me, but like he did not turn the ball over. He did not have a good shooting day. He was 8 for 24 and 2 for 11 from 3. The 2 for 11 from 3 is like really whatever the 8 for 24, whatever, you live with that. But it's the 2 for 11 from 3. I like that he's taking 11 threes. I think he should be around 8 to 10 a game, 8 to 11. I think that's just good for him. And I know even if he's like not hitting shots, and also they're not playing for anything like right now. Like they're not. They're gonna be a playing team. There's just no way that they're gonna be bad enough. They can sit Bam and Herro for the rest of the season, and they still won't stink more than the Nets. So, like, they're not playing for anything. Let him shoot out of it. I just don't have like too much of a problem with his game tonight. I think that Franky, your point in general is like his shot, and you've been saying this for a long time. You think his shot selection is not very good.
Well, I will say I have not had complaints of him at his shot selection and reads up until like about a month ago. Whenever they were about to announce the All-Star selection, the All-Star reserves, he started like since that point, he's reverted a lot of his tendencies. He gets his shot quality has been in the gutter, and it's not just a Jimmy thing because even in the games without Jimmy, his shot quality was very good. He's predetermining it, not playing off ball as much, and he's reverted a lot of his old habits. You call it being aggressiveness. I call it not making reads. It's predetermining. He gets the ball. He's like, I'm going to take 2 dribbles and get my shot instead of I'm going to be aggressive, try to get to the rim, try to create an advantage and play off that. And that's where he was shooting a career high 3-point percentage. He's below his career average now because his shot quality has dropped down.
I think he struggled.
Yeah, but it's not just his shots aren't falling. It's his quality of his game has dropped a lot. And you know, they've lost. It wasn't just him. They lost for a multitude of reasons. They had a 19-point lead. Somebody said he'd have 5 losses in games that they led by double digits in the fourth quarter. No other team has more than 3, and there are 8 teams that don't have any. Courtesy of John Schumann from the NBA.com. Like they were just consistently repeating old habits in the fourth quarter. Paint defense is awful. They don't attack in late in the game. They settle for jumpers. But we're harping on this because the settling for jumpers is a Tyler thing. Like you talked about the last possession in a regulation, he got the mismatch he wanted, and he took a fadeaway. Like, what was the point of running a screen to get the matchup you wanted if you're going to take a jumper anyways? Like, attack him, force the issue, try to get fouled. Like he's been getting to the line a lot, and his shot wasn't dropping that night. Like, get something, create something of it.
So let's move a little bit of Bam, because I think, you know, despite we've touched a little bit on Spo and Tyler, but Tiff, I thought, you know, Bam was sensational today, and I think again, you know, we see a lot of work at the elbow. I think that there was kind of there had to have been a decision at some point in the season that that Bam and Spo had a conversation, and Spo's like, okay, we're gonna have you operate more in the mid range again. Your kind of diet of mid range jumpers is gonna go up because it really almost was nothing. Fewer threes, more shots in areas that he's comfortable in. And Tiff, I thought tonight, whether it's attacking guys on the middle of the floor in the lane, getting cat, whether it's even Anunoby on him, getting really, really good looks. That there was a turnaround that he hit on Anunoby in the fourth quarter. I don't know if it was fourth or overtime. That was fantastic. Tiff, I thought that's a game you want him to play. And I think, I like that he attacked New York's smaller guys and that he attacked New York's poor defenders. And to be honest with you, that kept them. He was the only good thing in the second half for Miami, I think.
No, he was. And this is what you want to see from him the rest of the season. If you're wide open and you're out there, you take the three. But I don't need to see him launching 4 or 5 a game. If he launches 2, that's whatever. But I think, I feel like I say this all the time. His game is where you miss a veteran point guard, because a veteran point guard would have just made sure he continued to eat all game long. There was no one that could keep up with him on the court. And so there were stretches where he didn't even touch the ball out there. But with all that being said, I liked his awareness, like the strength that he played with tonight. He was very decisive in his movements tonight. There were a couple of situations where he mishandled the ball. That's fine. But just he got the ball and he went. He either turned, he backed his player down, but everything was decisive with him. And honestly, like I couldn't ask for more from him on the offense end.
I think it's his best offensive game of the season, Kyle.
And I think the biggest part of that, to this point, he was decisive about it and he was intentional about it. I think that's what we've talked about before. When he's intentional about getting his shot, when he's not pump faking 3 or 4 times, when he's like, oh, y'all gonna leave me open from 15 feet, that's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
And once he gets going, I think it's one of those things. Bam's the type of player where it's a rhythm thing. The mid-ranges start going. If he's open for the 3, to Tiff's point, then you take the 3, because now you're in rhythm. You've hit some shots. He shot, I think, 12 for 14. He only missed like 2 shots the whole night. This is really nitpicking, and it's not even on him. We've talked about, Bam not getting the ball, as far as lobs. It's similar to where they put the ball there for him to get the ball. And I tweeted it out. A lot of the reason that doesn't happen. I say, there was a foul that wasn't called in the first half. Bam goes up for the lob, and the player backs underneath Bam. I'm not sure if you can find the play, but he goes up for the lob, and they back into him, and they just call it a turnover. And it's dangerous for a guy who's 6'9", 240, 230 to be going up in the air and not have freedom of movement to land or to make a decision in the air. And so I'm nitpicking, and I'm not nitpicking Bam. I'm nitpicking like the offense. A lot of lobs can't be filtered to him because those are easy points. Those are supposed to be easy points. The problem is they're only easy points to Ware because he's 7 feet tall. Bam is significantly shorter, and for whatever reason, refs don't seem to call when he's getting backed underneath. And I've seen it a few times. It happened during the Portland game some time ago, and it happened tonight again. So I'm just saying, like, he shot really, really well. Those couple of shots he missed, one of those shots he missed was somebody not giving him space to land. So I think he was really good. I wish they would have went to him more in overtime, just to continue to punish Anunoby. And anybody else they switched on him. He had the foot speed to beat Karl Anthony Towns off the dribble. And so I really wish they had featured him a little bit more instead of chucking up threes, because I think that's really what happens. What happened late in the overtime, they missed the 3, they DHO'd, they missed another 3, and it let the Knicks kind of get comfortable on defense. They were able to set their defense up with long rebounds. So his best game so far, most decisive game so far. I'm hoping he continues that because this is normal Bam. Like this is what we've been talking about all season. This is him at his best. At his best, he's 17 to 15 feet from the basket. Just take the shot. He has a pretty jumper. I hope he takes it more.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up the handoffs in the fourth quarter and overtime, because one of the things I thought New York did a really good job of is they're putting pressure. They're playing really, really high up, and that other guy is fronting on the switch.
Yeah.
So Robinson is going to have Anunoby. They were doing a lot with Robinson. The Robinson's going to have Anunoby or some other long Nick, and they're going to and those guys are just going to struggle with size, and the other guy's just fronting Bam. And I don't think that under duress, Duncan or Tyler can comfortably make that pass. And I think Josh Hart on the weak side was like ready to come over and make it hard too. So I thought that was really, really good by the Knicks. And the Raptors used to do that. They used to do that with Norman Powell and Anunoby on Bam kind of earlier. They did that in the bubble. I've talked about that a lot, and I just think that's been kind of like, that's kind of been the blueprint to guard him. And that used to just be like, he wasn't going to attack the switch. Now they're just like straight up ball denial. And that's another reason why I think that a lot of this is on Spo, because like if you're Spo and you're seeing this, you're like, oh, I need to find a way to get Bam the ball, not just keep doing that handoff stuff. And it kind of goes to my thing about Highsmith as well. When you're playing Haywood Highsmith in the game, and he's Karl Anthony Towns is on him because Bam was frying Cat, and then right move by the Knicks. Hey, let's get a more versatile defender on Bam that can keep up with him a little bit. We're going to put Cat, because we need Cat on offense. We're going to put Cat on Highsmith. Highsmith's not going to hurt you. I think if you're Miami, you got to start running staggers for Tyler with Bam and Highsmith. You got to get creative. You got to run the handoff with Highsmith. Why can't Highsmith and Duncan run that handoff?
Right.
Why?
Well, the crazy part
and then you have Bam there where Anunoby's going to have to help, and that's how you get Bam the ball.
The crazy part is I can count on one finger how many times that they had Highsmith even cutting. Like they had him literally just parked in the corner. Like he wasn't even moving Karl Anthony Towns around on the court.
That to me, Tiff, is like so egregious.
Right? Because he can't keep up with Haywood while he's cutting. And I couldn't believe that they just had him standing in the corner.
Tiff, you don't even need him to cut. Just fucking come set a screen.
Right. Well, move. Do something.
Do something.
But that's what I'm saying. They didn't even have Haywood move.
That's why,
which is one of his best attributes.
And what makes me...
I'm doing this with Spo, bro. It's not for me. I don't care about the spotations or whatever. To me, it's like whatever. You're supposed to be like tactically the best fucking dude in the sport. And I'm telling the audience all the fucking ways that they just out tacticked him, and they had no answer.
And I think what's annoying is, and Tiff, I'm sure I don't even have to say this to you. There's so many times where he does set the screen and pops right there, right like on the elbow, and they just kind of ignore him. When I'm like, he's gonna either he's gonna take a nice floater, which is within rhythm, or he's going to make the best pass next. And for whatever reason, they don't pay attention to him, and I think that's what annoys me on offense when it turns into DHO, because if Haywood sets the screen and then pops out, that means somebody's got him wide open. So that means somebody else is eventually going to be open. You're creating an advantage. Instead of passing the ball there, we dribble into a DHO, and I think that's why I'm annoyed about the DHOs. Why are we dribbling into one if we have a player open?
Well, the
Pass
other thing
the
that
player
they were
who's
doing,
open, let him swing the ball. Like, to me, that creates an advantage for you on offense, and you get mismatches out of that because you're moving the defense from side to side. I think I've said this like so many times now. But for whatever reason, they kind of ignore him on the short roll, and I'm like, has Haywood not made smart decisions out of this before? Because he's done it before. Why are we not pass the ball? Like, pass it here. And it's simple plays on both ends where I don't know why they didn't attack Cat in the.
This is when they did give it to him on the short roll.
Oh my god!
And look what happens.
Yeah.
Good things happen.
It's just
right.
So run that back, Frankie.
Look at the
So
love it.
I think the main difference here is that in the second half there's size on Robinson now, and I think that makes that pass harder, and I think the advantage you get is cat and drop. So it's not totally
Right.
the same, but I do think it's like it's important to know. And I guess my thing was they ran an action for him in the second half, like late in that fourth quarter, where he comes to screen for Tyler and they blitz Tyler.
Yeah.
Cat and whoever blitz Tyler, and he correctly flares into the corner. Tyler does not give the greatest pass, and in Tyler's defense, it's not an easy pass to make because Cat is big, and whatever amount of defender he is, arms belong. And Haywood short on the 3, and then that was kind of it. And I'm like, you don't have to. I don't think using him in that pick and flare is the best use for him.
Mm-mm.
Why not have him, like we're saying, in like short roll, get a pass, and Duncan in particular is really good, even with size, when that second man steps up, as we see here. Boom.
Well,
And that was over. I mean,
Frankie,
he can thread that in a bounce pass.
Can you run it right before, like right? So, right. Keep playing it. Run it.
The
run
big's
it.
out
Here.
of the play.
So right
until
here.
yeah.
So the pass, that pass, even with height, right? The player has to jump out of position because he can't jump this way. He has to jump at the ball, which still you're getting the ball in an advantageous position. And Bam incisively knows Haywood, and this just goes back to my point. You know he's going to make a good decision with the ball because that's what Haywood does for the most part. He makes really good decisions with the ball. Is he turn over the ball sometimes? Yes, that happens. That any player has that. But Bam is only making this decision to go to the basket because he knows Haywood is going to. So I don't understand not running this again in the second half and in overtime because it was there a couple of times and they just ignored it. So
I think the issue with it is partly on the players though, because like G talked about them Thibs putting more size on Duncan and Tyler in the second half. But even with Jalen, look at how wide Duncan comes off. Like Jalen's able to go over that screen, and the screen doesn't really affect him. He kind of just brushes off the screen.
He's still behind the play.
Yeah, he's still behind the play, but it's not like he's wide open on the catch. That is what I mean. And that's a problem with consistently over the years with the guards. They don't come off tight enough, brushing it off, so they're always trailing the play and getting screened. They rely on their screeners to move and screen their guys. And it's a lot harder to do with the bigger guys. And also that they put the bigs were way more up in the second half, so they could switch that screen. And like I think G, you noted it. That OG was guarding Bam on one possession, and Tyler didn't even want the screen from Bam because he didn't want to switch. But this is one thing
and he took a horrible shot.
Yeah,
that possession.
But just getting the open area right here where Duncan's able to see over the top. He doesn't wait for the blitz to come either. He sees the blitz coming, and he predetermines the read right there. Gets Haywood a pass right into the open area where only he could catch it, and Bam makes a good cut.
So
for the lob.
So part of and again in that fourth quarter, part of the frustration with everything offensively was Bam was on that weak side a lot, and they just did nothing to get him the ball, which I think is fine. Like, and I think you see that possession why that's good, because you get Mitchell Robinson out of the action until he has to come help, and then that leaves Bam open for that pass. And I'm like, okay, well, Bam sitting in the weak side. It's either him or Highsmith a lot of that game. I know in that last possession in overtime, Bam was on the weak side, and I think Brady Hawk rightly pointed out, like, that has to be a shooter. Bam should be in the action, and that has to be a shooter on the weak side to give Tyler an option as well. Like, there's just so much about today that I was really frustrated by, from the players to the coaching staff. And listen, even that, it went to overtime, and they could have won the game. I think if Khalil doesn't get hurt, we're talking about a different game as well. I think that they lost that variety. I mean, we haven't talked about him, Tiff, but I mean, I thought he had a really good game as well. And that kind of forced Miami to go to that really small lineup. I mean, at some point they were playing three guards. They were playing Burke, Herro, and Robinson. They were playing Robinson, Rozier, and Tyler, which that was a fucking disaster. And they yanked them the first chance they got. Tiff, you're shaking your head. Like, that was what?
Because that was one of the points where you saw blood slide happening. Like, you just knew we had no control once that started. And then compared it with Terry, like, going berserk on the floor. Like, it just all just unraveled, and it unraveled very quickly.
It really did. I thought that really small lineup was interesting, just in general. That's supposed like, okay, we're gonna go Highsmith, Bam, and 3 guards, if you count Robinson as a guard. They started 3 guards too, as just Jared pointed out. They started Burke, Herro, and Davion. Really interesting. I think Davion, by the way, and I want to close with this. Love Davion Mitchell.
Me too.
I think Tiff, we're all Davion fans here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
My
mean, what a
favorite-
dog.
One of my favorite Heat point guards in a very long time.
Most hand and glove fit since PJ Tucker.
Is this the Jay Crowder trade with Wiggins that again?
Yeah,
Like
literally.
where we forgot Iguodala was the main piece of the trade.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think so.
I
It's
just
funny
like
'cause-
I like that he plays with an edge, right? Like he guarded Brunson, I think, as best as you can guard Brunson, who does a lot of flopping. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. So anybody who's
neither
a
is
fan,
Davion Mitchell.
I'm not a fan.
Right.
Who called him soft? And I'm gonna call him
Frankie,
soft.
you got that clip?
Yeah, hold on.
I mean, look at him. He's just talking to the ref. He's soft, man. I love him. I know Brunson can hear him.
And he does it. He does. You know what? He does it with his matchup over the last 3 or 4 games.
Love that shit, bro.
Yeah.
He talks directly to the ref and to whoever he's talking to. I love it. And I think some of what like after this, I think Davion sits for quite a bit of time, which is when the Knicks made a run.
No, and listen, because I tweeted this at the time. Davion sat and Terry Rozier came in. The Knicks brought in Deuce McBride, and Deuce McBride is part of all the Knicks' best lineups. Statistically, all their lineup data points to play Deuce McBride more, and all of the Heat's lineup data suggests Terry Rozier should never step foot on a basketball court again. And what do you know? Their big lead erased.
What was he? What was his? What was
He
his
ended up
point?
-8 because he was part of the unit, and I did think he played well in that fourth quarter. He was part of that unit that got them back up again before they blew the lead. But I thought he played okay in the fourth quarter. He was -8. With Highsmith was -11. But I don't think that's Highsmith's fault. I think that's Warren's fault. I thought Highsmith played well, but I did not think Brunson played very well. Rozier played very well.
Yeah, my thing is, and it's such a weird, yeah, and y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. It feels weird to go from control and pace in Davion as far as your point guard is concerned, and then when you switch to the bench, you have this very different movement. And we've talked about this before. I don't want to sit here and pour all over Terry, but like setting a screen just to get the ball back outside the 3-point line is absolutely ridiculous. Like, why are you screening? I can't understand the play. Like, what are you doing with the ball after you get, like, I don't get it. Like, he does what Tyler should be doing, which is screening for the guy and then doing something. And I can't get Tyler to do the screening because he doesn't want to screen. And so we have Terry setting screens to get the ball back after the person who sets the screen for him has the ball. I'm like, Terry, what is happening? What are we running here? What's the play that's being run? Why are we doing this?
It's
Terry
just
time.
Tiff. It's just vibes. It's just vibes with him.
We just vibing. Listen, it is what it is, right? Like I want to say something because I haven't done this. I haven't been on a lot, but I will say I like a lot of the things that I'm seeing with Ware. It's gonna be slow moving because my man got to gain some weight and he got to get into a ballet class to feel a little better. But
Where?
other than that, I like what I'm seeing. Yeah,
He's been good, man.
like
He's been so
he-
good.
but you know, I think he's starting to see the floor better. So I like it. He's looking kind of cute out there. So, you know, like that he's putting in the hard work. I kind of want to give him a little shout out.
And I also like that, you know, he was taking the 3 a lot early on the first half of the season. I like that he's taking it occasionally and he's taking his shots closer to the rim. where he can really do damage most. Not only because he's tall, but he also, Frankie, you mentioned this some earlier on, he was struggling with rebounding, but now he's actually taking the effort to rebound the ball and creating some second chance opportunities. Even if he doesn't make the shot, he's battling for the ball down there. So I like that he's making smart decisions. The 6 blocks are going to get talked about, but to me, the 6 blocks only happen when you play with effort. And he was just beautiful at the rim. Like, it's been a minute since I've had somebody at the rim for the Heat, like a complete and utter deterrent, and the Knicks just kind of kept going there. And it showed his athleticism, which to me, that just means he has a lot of this. If this is the floor, I'm excited for the ceiling, because that means he's gonna be able to read better going forward. He won't jump as much. He'll remember, I'm like 7'1". I don't need to jump guarding a player 6'3". I can just put my hands up. Some of those things are going to happen. I really was excited with his activity. I love that he takes pride in his rebounding. It looks like that's the case. And I think part of that activity on rebounding is what gets him into rhythm blocking shots. I think it was really annoying for him to get injured while they were kind of in the in-between stages of the game where you could say it was anybody's game. Anyway, I'm not going to harp on why that happened, but I do feel like they missed his activity late. Not so much that we needed him to score points. Just defensively, I feel like they missed his activity, and that really just kind of shifted the game around. I mean, Brunson was driving to the basket.
Yeah, dude, you the size matters. I mean, they lose the size, and we just talked. I mean, they played a bunch of guards to close out the game, and I think they don't really, especially missing Wiggins. That's another kind of wing that you're down, and now a lot comes on Haywood to guard bigger guys and everything. So totally agree with you, Frankie. I know you wanted to get some Ware stuff in. I mean, I think his activity, particularly like attacking traps. I mean, the slipping I thought in the first half was pretty incredible. Pretty upset that he could not close out that game, because I think if he does stay healthy, they win that game. Really disappointed, but man, he was so good.
Yeah, I was surprised. Because Spo put him in at the end, but I don't know how much he was actually hurt or like how much he'll feel tomorrow. He played 3 minutes of the overtime, but I just want to say, like, I think that one of the things that really bothers me, I know Spo wants to bench Ware every time he makes a mistake and like use the bench as his friend, like, and there is obviously value in that. But I think this is, in my opinion, like, this is, and I want to talk about this on a pod, so we can get into a back and forth about this. But I think this season, we all agree they're not doing anything special this season. This is a season where it should be prioritized development, and these are minutes, valuable opportunities in a lost season to get Ware those reps. Like, we look at Bam and Tyler. They've never had that opportunity to just explore, just make mistakes, because these games don't matter. Because they've both been, since they got drafted, it's been nonstop. We're trying to make the playoffs. We're trying. Our regular season matters. You got to do only what you're good at. Only these 2 things. This is your role. They should be, all of them. Every single one of them should be exploring. Spo should be giving everybody too much responsibility just to see what they can do, because you have to know what it is. But them like playing way too safe is gonna hurt them in the long run. And I feel like it's hurt them before, and I feel like they haven't learned their lesson there. But just to get back to Ware, fantastic. I was surprised this was his his career high was only 3 blocks coming into tonight. 6 blocks for the game, 5 in the first half. But he's just been great in that role where he's just cut to the basket. Like you mentioned, Kyle, early on, there was times where he had a 2-on-1 and he was popping to the corner, and I was like, dude, you're 7 foot. The help man is 6'2". Get to the fucking basket. And he's learned that lesson. But yeah, he's been great. We've been wrong about the pick, and gladly wrong about it. But yeah, they need to explore it more, is my opinion.
I totally agree. He's been pretty awesome for them, and hope, I haven't seen anything on the timeline about his health and availability going forward. And they have a very Miami's about to have a very interesting, very busy week. The schedule is about to get absolutely brutal
Play
for them.
tomorrow.
And I got to be honest with you, Adam Silver's never seeing heaven. They have game tomorrow night against Washington, then they're off Tuesday. They're on again Wednesday for the Cavs. Shout out to Max Strus. Day off, and then they have Minnesota, Chicago back to back, off on Saturday, Monday against Charlotte, off one day, Clippers on Wednesday, off Thursday. Then they have a Celtics and Grizzlies back to back. Absolutely fucking brutal. And I mean, it doesn't stop there because pretty much they have a day off for the rest of this the rest of the month.
Yeah.
It's and then a back to back to start April. So they're
lead the
in
league.
hell. I think that they're probably going to finish on the lower part of the plan. We got you covered all week, man. We're really listen. Our coverage is going crazy. We'll be here for you all week, getting all these games to you. And next week, we're gonna have a surprise show return in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for news on that. You're gonna want to hear about that. And appreciate you guys for rocking with us on Sunday. We're a little early, went a little long today. Obviously, Heat Knicks. It's a big playoff rivalry. A big NBA rivalry, I should say. And yeah, man. So it's been fun. It's been real. And we'll catch you tomorrow for Heat Wizards. Go Pride Night at Kaseya Center. So bring your pride, get your pride bucket hat, all that good stuff. It's going to be a fun time.